Welcome back to another episode of Peaking into Success podcast. We have today a man who used to be a junior doctor but has now pursued a very different career into comedy. We have Michael Akadiri. Hi Michael, how are we today?
I'm very, very good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So, of course, today we're going to look into your kind of big career of kind of having your finger in every pie under the sun. So kind of...
Yes, most definitely.
What kind of came first for you in your career? Was it the comedy or the podcast?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I can't wait to get into it, man. Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, so of course, how did it all start for you? So take us back to how old you were when you kind of started on this journey. Of course, I've seen that you were a junior doctor as well, aren't you? So kind of did that...
Yes.
So did that come first with the doctor thing, or did the comedy come first?
Yeah, to be honest, it was the medicine, the doctoring before the comedy. So I went to uni not too far from Derby in Nottingham. So I was in Nottingham 2011 to 2016. And I graduated from uni in 2016. I went back down to London, where I'm from, to sort of start working. And I was working as a doctor in a hospital down there, did it for about a year. And then I just had this curiosity about comedy. Like, people would tell me, oh, you're funny, you're a bit witty, you've got a bit of banter. And I guess I'd always enjoy just having a laugh with friends. Never thought about doing that in front of strangers. Like, I was kind of just content with doing it in front of friends. And then there was just this curiosity that I had sort of within me. And let's just see, you know. You never know. Like, let's just see if there's anything in this. So I signed myself up for a comedy night. I just typed in, like, open mic comedy Greenwich, which is the borough in London that I was living in at the time. And this comedy club popped up. They said, yeah, you can sign yourself up. You just come up on a Thursday. And I got there on a Thursday, invited a few friends that you do. And when the MC or the host was explaining the rules, he was like, yeah, so it's a gong show, and how that works is after 2 minutes, the audience can vote you off if they don't like what you're saying. I said, huh? What? Like, I thought I'm just here to do my joke. What do you mean you can vote me off? Like, yeah, 3 audience members have cards, and if all 3 of them put their cards up, you got to go. And the aim was to survive 5 minutes. And obviously that threw me off. But I was like, you know what? I'm here now. I've invited people down. So I can't now not perform. So I just kind of had to ride it out. And the aim was to last 5 minutes. I got to 3.5 minutes. I thought, you know what? That's actually respectable. And I enjoyed it. Like, the concept of, you know, actually making a whole room laugh. There's not many feelings like it. It's quite a nice, sort of unique feeling. And you're always, as a comedian, you're always chasing that big laugh. You're always chasing it. And that's what keeps us going, essentially. So since that day, which was back in June 2017, I've been chasing the laugh.
Nice. So of course, the comedy came around. I assume you kind of, from that show, you kind of tried to promote your name, try and get yourself out there as much as possible. Then, of course, have you kind of adapted your comedy for, like, the 21st century, basically, with, like, doing your public videos and putting your comedy out in other formats, and as well as your podcast as well? Do you try and get your comedy out there in as many different avenues? Is that kind of your strategy?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So after that gig, what I tried to do initially, I tried to do exactly what you're suggesting. I tried to be like, you know what? You've got to be online and offline. So offline, you've got to be going to gigs, working on your stand-up material, and getting better at, because it's a craft. Stand-up is a craft. You need to work at the craft. You need to get better at your jokes, delivering your jokes, your stage presence, your comfortability on stage, because I was a complete novice. So I knew I had to do that, but simultaneously, I was like, oh, you know, I've got to do stuff online, because that's where everything's going now. You got to have an online presence. It's very difficult for a comedian just to solely do stand-up and make a substantial career for themselves. They kind of have to do sort of, you know, social media, i.e. little skits online, podcasts, whatever. So initially, I had a comedy character that I created. His name was Dr. Savage, and I tried to put some stuff out. And I guess acting isn't my forte. So, and the skits were okay, but they weren't great. And I was struggling with my job as a doctor, struggling to balance that, the stand-up, and the skits. So I said, okay, I need to sort of drop one, and I need to eat, so I can't really drop the job. And I dropped the skits, and I continued focusing on the stand-up. It's only when I got a bit more proficient with stand-up that I was able to dedicate a bit more time to the online stuff, i.e., putting out a little skits, starting work on the podcast that you mentioned, Late Nights and Wet Wipes, with a couple of friends I do. And I've done a few other podcasts in the past as well. I've got a new concept that I do, like a YouTube series called Public Health Trivia, where I go out, it's like box popping, go out to people and ask them sort of health questions, public health questions, not personal, but sort of questions I think the public should know. And that's generating a bit of content. And obviously people put out stand-up clips or crowd work clips and stuff. So you're always trying to put some stuff out to keep yourself relevant online. So when you do your shows offline, in person and stuff, people will come out and know who you are, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So, of course, you've mentioned the podcast and the name of it, Late Nights and Wet Wipes. Kind of tell people, if they don't know about it, try and sell it in a nutshell to everyone of what the concept is and what you're trying to do by doing the podcast. Yeah,
so it's a podcast with myself and two other comedians, Darren Griffiths and Kazim Jamal. So we're all comedians, stand-up comedians, and we're all recent fathers. So it's in the name, Late Nights, i.e. comedians do a lot of late nights, and also Wet Wipes, obviously babies need wet wipes. But also to double entendre, because you have a lot of late nights when you're a father anyway. So the concept is us just talking about our experiences of parenting, our experiences as comedians who are parents, and sort of challenges of parenting, funny things that happen, yada, yada, yada. So it's a way for us to essentially sit down every week and sort of recap on sort of parenting mishaps, parenting fails, parenting scenarios, and we have a nice sort of Q&A with the listeners. So they usually send in questions, and as a panel, we try to answer them as it's serious, but it's also funny sort of way. That's hopefully helpful, but also entertaining. So we've started that at the start of the year, and we've been going strong since. And yeah, it's just another avenue for us to, every Tom, Dick and Harry's got a podcast now, so it's not a unique thing. And it's, I guess for comedians, we're used to speaking, so we're so used to sort of just speaking into a mic and speaking our opinions and thoughts. Obviously, a podcast is more of a conversation rather than a set. So yeah, it's just a chance for, I guess, funny people to come together to talk about a topic that we hold dearly, and we're experiencing it as we go through it. So my child's 8 months, Kazim child's 10 months, and Darren's kids are 2 under 2. His boy's probably 4 months, and his daughter's probably coming up to 2 years. So we're all they're all similar age ranges. So we're going through this journey sort of together. So as our kids are getting older, we're sharing the experiences as they sort of grow as well. So it's nice. I guess it's a nice journey in that respect.
Nice. Where can people, of course, find it? So what platforms?
Yeah, so we're on all the audio platforms. So your Spotify, your Apple Music, your Amazon, Google Player, whatever the web are. We also got the visuals on YouTube if you're that way inclined. I know some people like to watch podcasts instead, so we've got the visuals on YouTube as well. So yeah, feel free to check it out. Obviously, I'm very biased. I think it's good stuff. And even if you're not a parent and you're thinking about parenting, it's relatable. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. It may even be a form of contraception for you. You hear the stuff you talk about. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna start pulling out, or I'm gonna start, holding back. You know what I mean? So it may even be a contraception for some people. So yeah, feel free to check it out. It's just a good laugh between friends.
Nice. So of course, you've just mentioned there kind of what you're doing and kind of all the avenues you're going down. Is there a particular career high or a biggest achievement that you think you've got? You don't have to base it on your actual kind of career. You can base it on kind of, say for example, because you're a father, you can base it on that. You can, whatever you feel is your career high so far as a person.
Yeah, I'll definitely say if I'm looking at comedy, I'll say taking my show to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So in 2022, so last summer, I took my first ever sort of hour show to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I don't know if you heard about the Fringe or know
a
bit about it. So it's a huge arts festival held in Edinburgh every year. It's one of the biggest in the world, if not Europe. And it's usually a launch pad for most comics. And some comics say, or particularly stand-up comics say, you're not really a comedian until you've done your first hour. And because you can do 10 minutes on a sort of mixed bill set, you can do 15 minutes, which is all good. It was all good, and it's quite short and snappy. When you've got that sort of allotted time, you kind of need to get on stage and just be funny straight away. Just hit the audience with jokes. But when you've got an hour, you've got a sort of a story that you're kind of telling. You've really got the audience's attention for a long period of time. So it's not just a case of hit them with jokes. You're trying to tell them a story, hopefully, or convey a message if you're that way inclined. So yeah, my show was called No Scrubs. It was about sort of my life in the NHS, my life outside it, and how I'm perceived when I'm not in my scrubs compared to when I am, and how I ended up in a sort of court case, which I speak about in the show. So that was a proud moment for me to sort of work to put an hour of material together to sort of, you have to take it to different places as you work it up, and then to actually debut in Edinburgh with the show was an amazing moment. And I took it on tour subsequently, and I'm releasing it as a special on the 9th of July. I'm not sure when this goes out, but it'll be out on the 9th of July on my YouTube page.
Sweet. So, of course, you've spoken about your high there. Is there a particular defining moment, or do you think that the Fringe kind of, because it was kind of that launch pad, as you said, do you feel like that defined you as a comedian because, of course, you made your first album show?
Yeah, I think it's definitely I think it's like, right, I can actually, because I've never been on stage that long before preparing for the show. Yeah. So I've been on stage probably half an hour, probably max 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes before that. Max 40 minutes I've done that on stage, just me. But it wasn't in a cohesive show. It was just mainly just me just doing random jokes. Okay. So to spend an hour on stage, it's like, right, I can actually do this. I can, because you watch stand-up specials, I'm sure you've watched specials before, you see a comedian on stage for an hour. And I used to think, how do they remember all of that? What? An hour? How are you going to remember what to say for an hour? You know? Like, if you ask them to do a 5-minute presentation, you can be like, what? How do you remember what to say for a whole hour? You know every word in order that you need to recite. And not just like recite it monotonously. You need to say it with like, you have to deliver it with energy and presentation and gusto. And it's like, I was just astounded that these guys could do that. But then I was doing it. I was like, wow. Like, and it just really, that's the sort of like, wow, I can actually do that. You know, of course, my stuff is not on the level of the sort of famous comedians out there, because obviously that takes years and in some cases decades to get to that level of talent and skill and experience. But the fact that I could stand there and make people laugh for an hour was definitely like, wow. I've still got a lot of work to do, but that is definitely a milestone that makes me think that I can, when I've done a tour, I was selling a show off my own name. In Edinburgh, you're selling a show off your own name. Normally, you're on a mixed bill, i.e. when I'm coming up to Derby, it's a brand, Rampage Comedies, and then the promoter puts the bill together, you know? Yeah. And sometimes nights sell on the basis of the promoter. People trust the promoter's name, and they say, you know what, this is a good promoter. I trust them to bring good acts. I may have not heard of them before, but they're good acts, and it'll be fun to do. Or the headliner may be the one that people go to sort of see. They're like, oh, you know, the headliner, you know, I've seen their name before. I trust them to at least be funny, so I'll take a chance to the other people. But when it's your solo show, it's only your name. People are buying a ticket off your name. People are coming to see you. It's not, you can't chop it up any other way. It's not like, oh, they're coming for a night and I'll be there part of it. It's like, no. You're the main person. You're the star of the show. People are putting money down and their time to come out and see you. And that is very humbling. And that is definitely a moment where during the Edinburgh Fringe, during my tour, I was like, wow, like, I'm selling out venues in cities I'm not from. I'm not from Cambridge. I'm not from Brighton. I'm not from Bristol. But people were coming out and Leicester selling out venues, and yeah, it's definitely like wow, like I can do this. You know what I mean? I can, you know. I could do this as a genuine career. It's not just let's just see how it goes and let's just see. It's like, no, like people are putting their money and time to come see you. So once people are doing that, then it's like, wow, you're actually doing this. You know what I mean?
100%. And I mean, it just shows that you had a job which you could have stayed in, and you could have just stayed in that little box and done your job and done your craft, but you decided to do something that you're passionate about, which you're enjoying, and it just when you talk about it, just comes across that you speak so happily about it. You've got a smile on your face, you seem happy, so that shows that even though you've changed careers and had a massive U-turn with your show as well, you're just using it to your advantage. You're using your life story as your kind of act to propel you on, which is amazing.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I think in life you've got to chase happiness, and obviously that doesn't come at the expense of, you know, just dropping everything, and, you know, you've got to be responsible at the same time. But it definitely goes to show that in life you can go through significant career changes, and that's fine, and things will change, things will maneuver, and, you know, don't stay in a role or a career that isn't sort of filling you. I'm not going to say medicine wasn't fulfilling me and stuff like that, but I guess I just took a chance. Basically what I was doing, I was just doing both, and I got to an impasse. So I was like, you know what, I need to kind of pick one. And I didn't want to be 70 years old looking back. But, oh, you know what, if only I took the comedy a bit seriously, man. Yeah, if only, you know, and I'm seeing the people that I was going to gigs with and working up with that were my peers, they're now big shots, sort of mega comics, and I'm the one that's, you know, just in a GP surgery in the middle of nowhere. And I didn't be the one that, I used to gig with them, and my patient's like, yeah, whatever, like, come on, just give me my paracetamol, doc. And it's just like, I didn't want to be that guy. So I said, you know what, let's give it a couple years and see what happens. You never know, but you got to be in it to win it. If you're not in it, you can't complain that you're not winning it. You know what I mean?
100%. And I mean, I know that you've mentioned Derby, kind of, just kind of what is kind of your plan for the rest of the year? Kind of, I know you've got Derby. Are you doing more with Rampage in different venues, or is there other pieces of work that you're working on as well?
Oh, so it's coming up 14th of July. We're going to be at the venue, Rampage Comedy. I've not got anything else in the diary with Rampage. I didn't know they did have a venue, so that's something you told me that's useful. I'm gonna push them on that. But yeah, mainly the rest of the year, I'm gearing up for my next tour. So as I said, I'd love people to check out the stand-up special, No Scrubs, on YouTube. So feel free to watch that. That's an hour. That's a show to Edinburgh. That's a show that's sitting out on tour in cities around the UK. So feel free to go check that. And then I'm working up on my next tour. So I'm going to be on tour in 2024. So what we do, we usually book these small little previews where it's just sometimes it can be very intimate, like 20 people. And we just work on our shows, work on it, tweak stuff, perform an hour. So my good friend Ali Woods, he's another comic. He's doing really well on socials. So me and him usually do it together. Like he does his hour break, I do my hour. We swap notes and stuff like that, help each other out. So yeah, I'm planning to go on tour with that in 2024. So obviously feel free to keep your eyes peeled. I went to Nottingham on my tour. So people from Derby, you can come to Nottingham. Or if there's enough love in Derby, I'll specifically come to Derby. But there needs to be enough for it to make the trip worthwhile. And I'm not talking 2 people. I'm talking, I need a bag of people. I need minimum 50 people. So yeah, minimum 50 people want to come together, and you want to tour in Derby, then you need to be showing me love on the social, so I know that's the place I need to visit, man. So yeah, I'm going to be on tour in 2024. Maybe at least the latest in the autumn, but will depends how well I get on with preparing the show. And yeah, just doing the show, going to be gigging just around the country anyway, at clubs popping up here and there. And yeah, we just keep working, keep grinding, man. Just trying to put out more content. Just gonna put out more stuff. Keep the podcast Late Nights and Wet Vibes. There's an episode every Thursday. every Thursday without fail there's an episode coming out because you have to be consistent in this game. So yeah, I'm just putting out content, putting out stand-up, and keep working, man. Most definitely. That's the aim of the game. Keep working, keep striving, putting good content out there for the people to enjoy.
Nice. And I mean, it seems like you're getting around a lot, and I mean, being from London and coming up to this end, we had a comedy place, and it's recently kind of shut down. So like every Friday and Saturday we had like loads of local comics in, but kind of that just got shut down. Basically, they weren't paying the bills.
Damn! Yeah, you got to pay your bills, man. Where the cause he lives at, yeah, man.
Exactly. So we had that place, and that's where kind of me and my mates kind of went. It was like between £5 and £10, and you saw like 4 kind of comics that were just trying to make it. So it was kind of good for that. But of course, that space is gone now. But kind of with the Rampage coming and kind of we've got stuff dotted around. I know that Derby Theatre were doing a comedy night in October, mid-October, so kind of we're getting it back just in different venues. So
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that because I think we need to be supporting more live comedy, and obviously you can only support it if people are promoters are willing to take the chance to put it on. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that you and obviously your people up there are supporting live comedy because it shouldn't be a case. Derby, as big as it is, I don't know why you have to go. You shouldn't have to go to Nottingham to enjoy yourself. You should be able to do it in your own sort of city centre, isn't it?
Yeah.
In your city centre. It just sounds. It's crazy to me how a city doesn't have like a comedy club. Like obviously, I'm very biased. I'm a comic and stuff like that. But I'm just like, wow. Like, how can a city? Like, you're telling me you can't get 100, 150 people together every Friday, Saturday? I don't know, it just seems a bit crazy.
No, exactly. So that's the one, but now the nearest one that's actually based for comedy is like in Matlock, which is like North Derbyshire. So that's out of the way, but like people do go there. Like, I know that Jason Manford and people like that have gone to that Matlock one in the past, but it's like, but it's just like, it's out of the way. Like, it's not in the city centre. So, I don't know, we just need to have more events like yours that's coming this month to kind of boost it back up again.
Absolutely, man. 100%. More stuff. Like, the more you support Rampage Comedy, the more that there's going to be impetus from them to put more stuff on. And, definitely, like, it shouldn't be a case. I know comics tour Derby. Like, if you're on a tour, a national tour, I know people stop off in Derby. But it should be a case where you got something more regular, man. So, the more I guess people of Derby support it, the more they'll be more willing to put it on. So it's a sort of you scratch our back, we scratch yours, so to speak.
Exactly. I'm going to kind of go into the more thoughtful part of the podcast now. So if you take yourself back to kind of maybe when you were trying to start comedy, or maybe even when you were like a child, is there one piece of advice that you would give yourself? So if you could go back and give that advice, what would you give?
Don't read reviews. That's what I would tell myself. Don't read a single review of yourself. Do not read reviews. And when I say reviews, it could be professional, unprofessional, i.e. don't really read comments about yourself and don't read formal reviews. Which is a bit difficult because you're always eager to know what people think about you, especially in comedy where it's such a field where you're trying, you want people to like your stuff, but you have to have this sort of arrogance where you don't care if you like it. And it's a very fine line of how you gauge that. But essentially you're going on stage, you're very vulnerable, you're talking about your life. And when people write kind of stuff which you find disparaging or disrespectful or something you don't agree with, or you think they didn't get it and they're publishing that online, it can be quite aggravating. So it's best not to even check and just go about your business. And the people that will get it will get it, and the people that will like it, and they will come back. And in this game, you're not aiming to please anyone anyway. You can't please everyone, so there's no point in trying. There will be comedy is subjective. People will like it or not like it, and that's just their preference, and you can't please everyone. I think if everyone likes it, then I don't think it's good. I don't think you've pushed enough buttons. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, comedy is always controversial. Like, the bigger ones, they'll always say something that will make you go, oh, and then if you like it, of course, you're going to go back to them, and if
100%.
If you didn't like it, then you just know, oh, yeah, I won't go again. Not like you don't have to throw hate at them or something if they're just trying to make a living. So, no, I like the comment one, and it's different. I don't think anyone's really mentioned about having comments and how that can kind of affect you as a person if you kind of always reading like negativity or always looking for positive and negative comments to like boost your ego, or sometimes they'll deflate you. So no, 100%. Of course, you've said the advice you'd give. Is there anything that you'd do differently? So if you went back to that age and could do it all again, is there anything that you think of, yeah, I'd do that differently?
You know what I would do? I say this now, but I don't know if I would even have the time to do it. But I would have taken like acting classes. I would have found what was probably a weakness in my repertoire and tried to find a remedy for it. So out of usually comics, people that do comedy, they're like a stand-up, so they're on stage. Sometimes they write material, write jokes, write for other people. And I think I could do that. I think if I looked at all my skill set in terms of being a performer, I think probably acting is where I probably could improve. And I would have tried to rectify that earlier on rather than now. Even now, it's not even too late and I can still go to acting classes. But it would be nice to be in a position where I've got those chops already. So if anything came, it's like, you're ready. Now I probably feel like, I've probably got to do a bit of work on that. So yeah, so that's where I would do something about. I'll do something about a weakness earlier rather than waiting.
Nice. No, I like that. You're trying to boost yourself and kind of, even though, as I said earlier, you've got kind of yourself scattered across loads of different things, whether the public video, podcast, comedy, you want to build and grow even more, and that's what people need. If you're trying to make a good career for yourself, you always need to strive for one greater, and that's what you're trying to do. You've kind of noticed that little hole and chink in the arm, and you're like, right, I'm going to fix that. I want to get better. So more people will respect you for that and kind of be like, yeah, I want to see his work, because all you're trying to do is produce greatness, aren't you? So
100%. We're on a journey, and as a comedian, I know, like, I think what I'm doing right now is good, but I know it can be better, and that's the aim. It's always improving. Like they say, comedians are how old you've been doing comedy. So I've been doing comedy 6 years, and so I'm technically 6 years old. You know, where someone like a Chappelle's been doing it over 30 years, so he's 30 years old. So there's levels to sort of this. So and you got to acknowledge that. You got to be introspective and understand that you're going to improve. And I may look back in 5 years and look at my current special and be like, ugh, what was I saying? I still think it's good, but I may have in myself, I may be like, oh, what was I saying? You know what I mean? So, yeah. But that comes with life, that comes with growing, that becomes being more mature, more experienced and whatnot. And the beauty of comedy is that you talk about life as you're experiencing it, isn't it? So as you're experiencing life and different things, that's what you're talking about. So
nice. We're going to move on to some quick fire questions now. So you don't know these at all, but just kind of say what you think, or kind of, it's just a bit of a laugh.
Let's do it.
So the first one is, you're told to get up at a pub and sing a song at karaoke. What are you singing? What are you blasting out for everyone?
Oh, let's keep it nice. Sweet Caroline.
Nice. Everyone can join in then, can't they? So
yeah, exactly. You got to get the people on side, man.
So the next one is, you've got a chef with you right now and he said he'll cook anything for you. What are you asking him to cook for yourself?
Oh, let's go with some lamb chops. I like some lamb chops. I want some mint sauce with that, man. And yeah, let's get some potatoes in there and some veg. Yeah, that's me.
Nice. What is the most favourite venue, or like most special venue to you that you've performed at so far?
Oh, I would say Indigo at the O2, I would say. So that's the smaller venue. I think it's like 1,800 capacity at O2 down in London. When I was a teenager, at sixth form, I used to work at the O2 selling programs, part of their merchandise team. So it was kind of nice to go back and work in a smaller venue. Obviously, one day it will be a dream to perform at the main O2. But yeah, definitely right now, in terms of flagship performance, definitely the Indigo O2 is the one for me.
Nice. You kind of answered the next question, but kind of, is your dream venue then the O2 to perform at, or do you have another one, maybe abroad, America, somewhere like that you'd love to perform in the space?
Yeah, I think I've been a Londoner, being a guy that worked at the O2 Arena. I definitely think performing there would be like a dream. And I know people say comedy in arenas doesn't really work. I've watched comedy in arenas and you lose a bit of intimacy. Obviously, trying to tell a joke to 20,000 people is a lot different to 3,000 people in a more intimate theatre. So I do agree that you do miss a bit of intimacy, but I would love just to say I performed there. That would be like, wow, like in my hometown, in my home borough, I've performed at the biggest venue. That would mean a lot to me, for sure.
Wicked. Now so this could be at the dream venue or anywhere. If you could get like two comics to kind of be support acts and you're the headliner, who are you picking to support you?
Oh, that's a good question. Because I would be supporting them, but just going on last. Yeah, I think I would love to gig with Dave Chappelle, and I would love to gig with a guy called Ali Sadiq. But they're both American comics. Dave Chappelle, because I've been watching since I started stand-up. I've been watching him, and I love the way he can talk about social, political issues in such a funny and unique way. And then Ali Sadiq, who, as a comic I've come across more recently, last few years, I think he's probably the best storyteller I've seen. In terms of, he's got a few specials on YouTube right now. And I think he's just a fantastic storyteller. And you're engrossed in his story, and he's authentic, it's real, it's emotive, it's very funny. So yeah, just sharing the stage with those two will be a blessing. And I'll be supporting them by going on last.
And then kind of the last question that I've got for you. So someone comes over to England, they've never been before, and you've got to take them to one place, and it's your gem of England. Where are you taking them to?
No, easy. We're going Wetherspoons.
Anyone in particular?
I will go to. There's one in Greenwich.
Okay.
Opposite the comedy club that I first went to, which was up the creek. So there's one in Greenwich in South East London, that I'll take them to, as I've drank there many a time after a gig in Greenwich. So yeah, I know that one quite well. So yeah, if you want to see sticky carpets, cheap booze, people from all walks of life in one place, you got to go Wetherspoons. Wetherspoons explains everything. You can sit at Wetherspoons for half an hour and understand 50% of British life. Just sit there for half an hour, just observe people, the drinks they're getting, the conversations they're having, what they're wearing, the topics they're talking. Yeah, you will understand half of what Britain's about by sitting at Wetherspoons for half an hour, most definitely.
Does your Wetherspoons have music or not?
Oh, I don't know if it's got that advanced. It have music. Have I seen jukeboxes in the corner? I think I have. You know.
See, some don't. The main one in Derby doesn't. So like, don't go there when you come. Yeah, they shut down. There was two next to each other, and they shut down the one that had music on, and then they've got the one that's kind of like the old gentleman's club that's really massive, but it just never plays music, and there's just not a vibe in there. So that's a warning for if you go out in Derby.
That's poor. That's poor.
Just finally, will you just tell everyone where they can find you, events, everything, so they know where to find you and how to see more of your work?
Yeah, man. I'm I'm all the socials. That's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You can find me at Michael. That's AEL. And Akadiri, so that's Alpha Kilo Alpha Delta India Romeo India. But type in Michael AKA, and you should find me. Check out No Scrubs, my debut stand-up special, coming out on YouTube 9th of July on my YouTube page. So type in Michael Akadiri comedy on YouTube. You will find that. Or Michael Akadiri No Scrubs, you will find that. And yeah, check out Late Nights and Wet Wipes podcast I do with a few comic friends. Episode out every Thursday on all audio platforms and YouTube. And yeah, check out the journey, man. Obviously, support this podcast as well.
Thank you.
What we're doing up in Derby, DE1, I respect it highly. And I can't wait to be up there with you guys. Rampage Comedy, 14th of July, the venue. We'll be out there. Should be a good night.
Sweet. Thank you for coming on today and talking to me.
I appreciate the time, man. Thank you. Blessings for making time for me. And yeah, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing with the podcast. I love the idea, the concept, and the growth.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Peaking to Success podcast. If you enjoyed, please make sure you follow us on Spotify as well as Instagram, where you can see all the updates of who is coming up, as well as who has already been on the podcast, as well as Twitter, where there is information and interaction from me on there as well. Thank you.